All right, so Davi came in here last week, was telling us her dog found some bones in the backyard.
Yep, Don Rickles. He has been known to get under the house and become all dirty because that's what little white dogs do, apparently. They just make themselves brown. So we keep bathing him. He keeps going back out. He comes back in. He's chewing on something. What's he got? He's got a little tiny bone. So, my husband threw it in the trash, but I was like, no, give me that back. I got to talk about that on the radio. So, put it in the windowsill. And then, a week later, he's got another one. And then a week later, he's got a much bigger one. So, talked about it on the air last week. Took pictures, put it on Insta stories. None of y'all are helpful. You're making this way worse. And some people are like, okay, I have studied extensively bones, and this looks like a pig pelvis to me. And I'm like, wonderful. And they're like, but pig pelvises are very similar to human pelvises.
Okay.
And I'm like, why would you do that now? I was in a nice land, and then they took me back to square one. So I don't know if it's human. I don't know bones. I'm not Emily Deschanel, and I don't know these things. But everybody on Insta stories is like, depends on what area of the city you live in. That could be wildlife. It could also be an old Civil War soldier that got buried in unmarked grave. And I'm like, holy smokes. So it's one or the other. Or the homeowners before us were murdery. So I got so many options, guys.
Right.
The world is my oyster. Pick your own adventure.
Not murderers, but murdery.
They're murderers. They had their child in a baby cage. People call it a crib. It was a cage. It had a lid.
That wouldn't shock you if they had murdered a couple of people.
No, honestly.
You'd be like 90% I get it.
Is it not the friendliest ones are the ones that get you in the back of the van and then, oops, you're dead?
Yeah.
That's how it always happens. So I'm like, those two people were very sweet. They're too sweet.
So we tried getting some professional people in here just to take a look at the bones. That's not going to happen, right, Tommy, our executive producer and studio director?
Yeah, I reached out. I talked to Dr. Corey Maggiano. He is the lab director.
I love his pasta.
Those family-sized portions are awesome. He's the lab director of the Biological and Forensic Anthropology Lab at a local university. And I asked him, what do you do if you find human bones on your property? He has gotten this question before, evidently. And he says, contact the authorities immediately.
That's no fun.
And then I to back that up.
But I don't know that it's human bones.
Well, to back that up, I contacted another doctor, Dr. Gugel. And Dr. Gugel says the law is clear. You must stop work if you're working in your yard and you find them, and contact your local law enforcement immediately. Now, it says depending on the area where you live, the size of the police department, their level of education and training, not to mention their busy schedules, somebody will eventually come out and look at your find. But going back to Dr. Maggiano, he suggested reaching out to the State Bureau of Investigation.
Because, this could be a cold case. You don't know. But didn't you also tell us last week that if they do come out and investigate, they could just jack up your backyard and there's nothing you can do about it? They will dig and dig and dig.
Yeah, that's what I've seen on TV. But,
okay.
That's what I was basing that theory on. But Dr. Gugel says they try and do as minimal damage as possible. But depending on the bones they find and how extensive it is,
we got nothing for it.
It might not be a cold case. It might be Babe. It's probably Wilbur. Charlotte murdered Wilbur. It's a dead pig in my yard.
Davi, do you want to reach out to the State Bureau of Investigation, or do you want me to do that on your behalf?
It didn't even, the option not to do anything wasn't even there.
Is there a time machine?
Oh, yeah, Kaylee has gone through this thing before.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, I do have some experience with this when we were contacted coldly by the police asking us if it was okay that they bring out the cadaver dogs to search my neighbor's property, which they thought they were investigating the disappearance of an older woman that lived there many, many years ago, who would be 110 years old now, but whose body was never found. She was never located, but the old owners were cashing her pension checks, as she was 110. So they assumed and they think that they did something with the body, and so they wanted to bring the cadaver dogs back out to the property, and I'm the neighbor that butts up to them, and they did so. But if these dogs, and I learned a bunch that day, they can smell, if someone died there, and you have bones, obviously, for the dogs to sniff, they'll be able to tell. Like,
So maybe they don't have to do any digging at all. They just bring the dogs out, check it all out.
I
That's
already
it.
got a cadaver dog. His name is Don Rickles. He found bones. What are we talking about?
Best name for a cadaver dog ever.
I'm way ahead of you guys.
So it doesn't have to be some digging. They can bring another dog out, just check it all out.
All right. I feel like doing nothing. So Tommy, you do it.
That's fair.
I'll call the State Bureau of Investigation today and see what we need to do.
Thank you.
Do you think any other shows are doing this today?
Probably not.
No, just us.
Most shows aren't even here today.
The Bert Show. The Bert Show.